Good evening, everyone. Today is October 16th, 2017. I'm Nathan Johnson, the Contra Costa County Veterans Service Officer. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Veterans Voices. The purpose of our show is to educate veterans and their families about the resources and benefits available to them and provide a critical link to supportive services through a live monthly television show. Tonight's episode is titled My VA Experience. Our intention is to have an honest and balanced conversation with veterans about their experiences with the VA. We chose this focus because we wanted to increase awareness around the great benefits that the VA provides and understand better how stereotypes and myths often float around within the veteran community and how they can lead to misconceptions. We will begin this conversation right after this short message from a fellow veteran.
For the guys who couldn't come back, you owe it to them to get your stuff fixed.
I've never been to a psychiatrist, a psychologist, and he
Why do we have this awful feedback?
And he would bring things up that you'd never recognize, never realize that are happening. He'd say, when you go to dinner with your wife, do you sit with your back to the wall? Yeah. Do you know why you do that? And then he'd explain it.
After seeing the psychologist at the VA, I started seeking mental health treatment. I'd never even told anyone how I ended up pregnant back then or what happened to me until I met with that psychologist who said, clearly you're doing okay. You haven't fallen apart. You're not hiding in a closet or depressed, but one day you will be if you don't deal with this.
I ended up in this place and I fought it hard, you know. And so I went to the head psychiatrist there and I said, here's what they told me. He says, here's the deal. I have no idea who I'm talking to. You get straight and sober for 6 months and I'll give you an analysis then. It was the best advice I ever got. So it took me a while to get completely straight, but finally I did. And when that 6-month period came around, I was back to me.
I remember sitting in that chair the first time, and he said, you're going to be a better man because of this. And I sort of, sloughed it off. But I didn't realize that this purging of the things that I'd experienced, of the things that I was feeling, was therapy.
People were so kind. And I talked to a psychologist who said, it might take you from like 12 to 17 sessions, but it'll help. We know it will. And I just thought, 12 to 17 sessions. Wow, that's not forever. There's the end. The end.
I wake up to this day depressed, but it goes away. I can deal with it. That's what he helped me do.
It's made it so I can actually talk about and tell you that it was military sexual trauma. I was totally in denial and blamed myself up until probably about a year ago. I mean, it took me that long, 11 years after the fact, before I could talk about it and even admit that it happened.
Nobody's going to peel those thoughts and memories out of your head. They're not going anywhere. And you can't drink them off, you can't smoke them off, you can't, run it off, you can't do any of that stuff.
There's always going to be problems in life. I mean, that's what life is. But you can eliminate some of those, or you can minimize some of those issues by looking for a program that can put you in touch with yourself.
There's nothing weak about saying, I need some help.
When you listen to those voices that you're affecting, that you love, then you don't have any choice but to at least go find out. Is there a problem that can be, rectified? The VA and the professionals there, I've had nothing but success. I've had nothing but like a love and a personal, connection with the people who are treating. They really go out of their way. I mean, the phone calls, the letters, everything. It's like they're really putting out that effort to say, hey, you're not alone, come on in.
Welcome back. We have several guests on our show tonight, but they aren't the only ones we would like to hear from. If you'd like to share an experience or ask a relevant question, please do so tonight. Call into the show. Participate in tonight's topic, My VA Experience. Our phone lines are open right now. So if you have a question or you want to join the conversation, we're waiting for you. We'll include you in tonight's show. We want to hear from you. Call us at 925-313-1170 or email veteransvoices@contracostatv.org. You can also instant message us on Facebook. We're live right now at Veterans Voices 1 or on our website, ContraCostaTV.org. Joining us on our show tonight is Lou Kearns, Alex Fajardo, Melissa Boatwright, TJ Trujillo, and Mike Potosniak. Welcome, guys. Thanks for joining us tonight. Before we dive into the conversation, just in a quick, 5-second synopsis, introduce yourselves to our guests.
My name is Lou Kern, and I'm a Marine Vietnam vet.
Thanks, Lou. And you're a return guest on our show. You actually were on our episode back in August.
Yes, that's correct, yeah.
Welcome back.
Oh, well, thanks. It's good to be here.
I'm Alex Fajardo. I'm a almost 15-year Army vet and 3-time combat tour OIF, OEF vet as well.
Cool. Thanks for being here, Alex.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Melissa Boatwright. I am a 10-year active duty Air Force veteran and still an Air Force reservist and deployed to Baghdad in 2005.
Thanks, Melissa.
My name is TJ, John Trujillo. I have been in Vietnam in 1967 and 68 as an infantry soldier. I'm currently district commander for AMVETS, Post 26, at the Concord Vet Center.
Thanks, TJ. Mike.
And I am Mike Potosniak, and I am an OEF veteran, Army veteran, and I'm currently an Army reservist.
So we're all veterans, and this was the intentional design of tonight's show because we wanted not to be necessarily subject matter experts or representing a particular organization or group, but to be veterans and to share from our own experiences having used the VA, and we're all customers of the VA. So let's start off with the VA Healthcare Administration, the network of hospitals and clinics, and the doctors and nurses and social workers. And Alex, how long have you been using the VA healthcare system for?
For just a little over a year now.
Okay.
So I'm fairly new, unlike a few other people that have been, dove into the program and used their services.
Yeah. And which VA do you go to?
I use the Martinez one, the one right here
Okay.
down the street.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, right across the freeway.
Yes.
And Melissa, how about you?
I've used the VA since 2007 when I got out of active duty. So at times it's been my only source of health care. I've been to VAs in Cheyenne, Wyoming, in Denver, Colorado, in Charleston, South Carolina, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and in San Francisco.
Okay.
So I've sort of run the
Many different
gamut.
health- And that's because you moved or when you referred to different healthcare systems?
So both. In Cheyenne, which is my first VA experience, they didn't provide all the services, so you would get referred to Denver. But most of it's because my husband and I have been a bit nomadic in our post-military lives. So we've lived in South Carolina, Philadelphia, and California.
And Mike, how about yourself?
I get care at the Palo Alto VA, and I've been getting it probably since 2014.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm a customer of the Palo Alto healthcare system too. In fact, when I got out of the Marine Corps in 2003, I didn't think I needed to go sign up at the VA. And I took a woman named Anna Coulter who said, yeah, you need to enroll in the VA. And so she signed me up right there. I think it was at a resource fair in Modesto and sometime in 2004, I think it was. So about 13 years. So I intentionally skipped the Vietnam vets because you two have been using the VA healthcare system, presumably, much longer than the younger generation. So give us a little bit of a synopsis of how long you've been a patient there, TJ.
I've been there about 12 years now.
Okay.
I've seen
I've got you beat then.
yeah. Oh, okay.
Rookie?
Yes. Again, it's been 12 years, and I've seen some changes come open with the outpatient clinic in Martinez.
Okay.
There's been a lot of improvement in a lot of the appointments that they make, and I found out that as of late, my everything is on time. You know, if you have an appointment at this time, if you're there, you're seeing. So that I enjoy.
So let's dive into a little bit more of that, but real quickly, Lou, how long have you been using the VA healthcare system for?
94.
94, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so just after Desert Storm then.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
although I probably was I wouldn't be able to connect those dates,
Yeah.
you know, of the different,
Yeah.
you know,
Right, right.
missions you guys were on.
Right.
And my son was there, you know, but I think because I had a really hard time when my son went to combat. It really bothered me, and I became sleep deprived, and you know, so I think I kind of emotionally ignored all that great stuff you guys were doing over there. Yeah.
So we'll dive into this a little bit more, but I first want to, again, invite our audience to participate in tonight's conversation. As you can see, we're a table full of veterans, and we're customers of the VA. And I'm getting a little whisper in my ear. Chris, say again? Okay, we have a caller. So fantastic. Thank you for joining us. I don't have a name yet. Hopefully I'll get a name here soon, or maybe you're... Okay. So welcome to the show. Can you hear us?
Are you talking to me?
I'm talking to you. I don't have. I can't hear your name. I need it on the screen. But yes, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, my name is
Rizal.
Rizal.
Thank you, Rizal. Thank you, Mr. Rizal. Thanks for joining us. How can we help you?
I just wanted to relate one of my most harrowing experience with the VA. A couple of years ago, I went in for a procedure on a Thursday. On a Friday, I developed complications. I followed my discharge instructions. Friday night, it went really bad. I called the advice nurse. She said, go to the emergency room now. Don't worry, we'll pay for it. I didn't get out of the hospital till Monday. A month later, I received a bill from the hospital, a courtesy bill, and then a couple of days later, I got a rejection letter from the VA saying that I didn't follow procedure. So I went to the vet center, and we filed an appeal. And the following month, got another courtesy bill, and then another rejection letter from the VA saying I should not have gone to they weren't going to pay for the emergency room because I should have went to the clinic first, and I couldn't do that because it was Friday night, 6 o'clock. That would mean I would have to wait until Monday morning. I'd probably have been dead by that time. The following month, I got another letter, another bill, followed by another rejection letter saying they weren't going to pay for Monday because I should have left when I felt better. And it's like, wait a minute. I don't walk out the hospital when I feel. I have to leave when the doctor discharges me. And that went on for a while. Then finally they got around to saying, okay, we'll pay for it. I mean, there should have been a system. I followed they should have had a flow chart. Did the veteran follow the prescribed outline at the discharge procedure, which I did? If the answer is yes, then pay the bill.
Okay, so Mr. Rizal, thank you for joining us. And what I'm hearing is that he didn't have a very good experience using the VA Healthcare Administration. He had a procedure done and had some complications from that. And he had to get some outside care, in which the VA ultimately, it sounds like they didn't end up covering the cost of that care, which is probably very expensive. So somewhat of a frustrating experience. And Mr. Rizal, thank you so much for joining us. I invite others to call in, either good or bad. Please tell us about your experiences with the VA Healthcare Administration. That's what we're talking about tonight. Can anyone relate to Mr. Rizal? Is anyone? Go ahead,
Yes,
Alex.
I can actually. A few weeks ago, it was about a couple of months ago, I was diagnosed with Bell's palsy, and it progressively got worse. And it felt really weird, you know. Bell's palsy is like a form of paralysis in the face, and I kind of felt like droopy on one side, and thought I looked like Tom Cruise on Vanilla Sky for a little bit. But it got really bad to where I couldn't wrap my mouth around a straw. So my wife called the advice nurse on for the VA hotline, and they instructed me to go to the emergency room. So I went to the nearest emergency room at Kaiser, got my care, and then from there, I followed all the necessary instructions that was given to me by Kaiser and also by the VA. I didn't have the same problem Rizal had with the ongoing problems with the VA having to foot the bill, but I did have some issues with receiving the necessary medication from the VA, which needed to be, to happen right away. But other than that, everything else kind of went smooth as far as a transaction. They told me, have Kaiser faxed the information over to the VA center at blah, blah, blah number, and I got it taken care of, so.
So we just have a couple of minutes left in this segment. I want to invite everyone. The phones are open right now. If you don't want to call in, you can leave us an anonymous message through Facebook or by emailing us. Anyone else want to jump into the conversation in terms of health care you've received?
Yeah, I think it's important to understand that the private healthcare in America is also very error-prone. It's very terrible when things like this happen. But the truth is, between 100 and 400,000 people a year are seriously damaged in our private hospitals. You know, and so it's kind of like our whole system could use improvement. It's not just the VA that somehow is malfunctioning.
What about your experiences at the VA, Lou?
My experiences have been nothing but good.
Okay.
I ran my own business for 40 years. So when you do that, you have a sense of watching people work. I imagine if you manage a department, you might develop the same sense. So the first time I walked in a VA clinic, I looked around and I said, damn, these people they're all focused on what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so I've always had great service, including having them pay for outside procedures.
I think I can relate a little bit to the previous two comments, one made by Alex and one made by our caller. I did have an experience that was a little bit frustrating, in which it didn't really seem like things were very well organized. I'm a patient of the Palo Alto healthcare system. I had driven all the way from Pinole down to Livermore to have my blood drawn because the woman on the phone said, you know, you got to have your blood drawn a week before the doctor's appointment. I get in there to have my blood drawn, and the nurse said, or the staff said that there was no order placed by the doctor to draw my blood. I was furious. I had wasted all that time. But you know what? I walked out and I realized I need to do something about this myself. I need to not get in my car and just drive home pissed off. I called the number of the woman who I spoke to who made the appointment for me. And I told her, you sent me here to do a blood draw and you didn't place the order. She said, go back inside. We'll have this fixed in 5 minutes. I was still frustrated. I walked inside. Sure enough, 2 or 3 minutes later, my name was called over the sound system. They had called the doctor to place an order. I was back in the room getting my blood drawn. I think what I learned, although I can relate to the experiences of frustration, that if I don't learn the VA healthcare system, if I don't learn how it works and how it doesn't work, then it won't serve all of my needs. I will walk out the door frustrated. So we'll talk more about this, and we certainly haven't even heard from everyone. So we'll come back and we'll dive into some other experiences here. But first, we'll be right back after this short clip of Vet on the Street with Ryan Berg. Last week, Ryan had a chance to catch up with veterans at the Martinez Veterans Affairs Outpatient Clinic to inquire about how care has been for them. Enjoy, and we'll be right back.
We wanted to hear about your experiences, good or bad, with the VA. There's a lot of stereotypes out there, especially in the younger veteran community.
It's a difficult system to get your head around. Vets teach other vets how to do what we're doing because they don't help you. They give you a book with the instructions that are about that thick, and you're supposed to read that and know what's going on. You can ask a question to somebody in here and you'll get 6 different answers. You have to talk to other vets to find out how to manipulate your way through this, and that's what you have to do. Otherwise you'll be stuck going, I don't know what to do.
How has your experience of care been with the VA?
When you get care, it's good. It's just getting it. I just made an appointment today that is 3 months out, and that's ridiculous. It's just for a simple visit to do a nerve conductivity test. They're understaffed, underfunded. I mean, you look at the parking lot, it's full, and it's like this all the time. So we need more professionals. That's just all there is to it. I had a problem where I needed to see my primary care doctor, and he's going on vacation. And I couldn't get in to see him until November 3rd, and this was a week ago. I said, what if I had a serious problem but non-emergent that I really need to see the doctor? Well, you have to wait. And that's the answer you get. You got to wait. And I don't think that's right. I don't think the vets should have to wait. And the people that work here are great people. There's just not enough of them. We need more.
Could you tell us a little bit about your experience with the VA? How has it been?
90% great. I have a female primary care doctor, Dr. Carr. She's awesome. And she returns if you go on the Healthy Vet, you can do send a message, and she'll answer it as soon as she can, and then it's usually right back.
If you could change one thing about the VA, what might that be?
Well, they definitely need help in the urgent care. Urgent care, you can wait hours, and I mean, I've waited from, probably 8:30 in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning till 3:30, 4 o'clock before being seen.
What might you say to someone out there watching Live County TV right now to encourage them to maybe re-engage with VA care?
Just telling all the veterans out there, sign up, get your care. It'd be worth your while, even with the hiccups.
How has your experience been with the VA?
Excellent, excellent. I've been using VA medical services for going on 7 years now, and I've no issues. And they're taking care of me very well.
Sometimes within the veteran community, there can be maybe not so good images of the VA, especially within the younger veteran community. What would you say to a younger veteran out there who, to encourage them maybe to re-engage with the VA?
Be patient. Please be patient. And I know the VA is trying new things every day, and let them try their new things. But just be patient. Be patient. Good things will happen.
What's been most challenging about getting VA care for you?
Sometimes the wait time when I get a referral to another specialist. Sometimes the wait time is it goes a little beyond the 30 days. But I'm not about to go use the Veterans Choice because for fear that carrier that provider wouldn't have all my information readily available to them and so forth. So I just stay here with the facility.
What about VA care makes you the happiest?
Everything. I mean, they really care about your well-being and care about your health, and preventative health especially. They send you notices when you're due for your shots and all that, and you're due for your checkups, and you basically don't have to worry about it. They do all the worrying for you. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. How has your VA care been?
My care's been excellent. I really have no complaints against the VA. Every time I need something, they seem like they get it.
I want to ask you one more question. Sometimes in the veteran community, in the younger veteran community, there can be a not so good image of the VA for a variety of reasons, and not with everyone, but what might you say to someone out there watching to encourage them to re-engage with VA care?
Just trust them. They know what they're doing. I've got a lot of problems and from the military, and they've taken care of me real well.
Any veteran that is suffering from, PTSD and feel there's no help out there, please understand that the VA here in Martinez changed my life, changed many lives, and there are so many people that work here that are so awesome and care. Get off your butt. Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I don't care if you're high, I don't care if you're high on heroin. Come down and get help because they will help you. They have Diane Ansem, Joan Coton from Mental Health. They could change your life. And once you're embraced with the VA, you're embraced forever. And God bless America, and God bless the VA.
Thank you so much. Give me a hug.
Take care.
You have a good day.
Welcome back. We hope you enjoyed that video. Once again, another fantastic job by Ryan Berg on our Vet on the Street segment. Tonight, we're speaking to veterans. We're veterans, and we're speaking to you as well about our experiences with the VA, good or bad, in an effort to facilitate an authentic discussion on the subject of VA care and benefits. If you would like to join our conversation, please do so. Share an experience, ask a question, please call us right now at 925-313-1170. So, ladies and gents, we left off in a conversation about the VA Healthcare Administration, and we've had some experiences that were good and some that weren't so good, some that were bad. So, TJ, you wanted to jump in?
Yes, I did. Referring to Mr. Rizal, I had that same experience only with a private hospital.
Okay.
And so I believe that that's not an uncommon thing to happen with the mix-up of the paperwork being sent probably to 5 or 6 different areas within the hospital, and paperwork just everyone knows that's hard to chase down. But again, that was in a private hospital, and so that was my experience. So it doesn't happen to just one person.
So what about at the VA? You've been a customer now for, you said, 13 years. So
yes,
how's the
I have.
care been for you?
It's been I don't know, should I say lukewarm?
Okay. Yeah. So when it's warm, what's it like? When it's cold, what's it like?
Okay, when it's warm, of course, I said the appointments are on time. The people and the quality of the people that I see, the doctors and the nurses, they're fantastic. They really help you quite a lot. And then the administrative people that are behind the desks, they're wonderful. They just can't help you. Again, they can't help you enough and ask you if you have any questions. They also are interested in what you have to say. They treat you with respect. And that's one of the things that a lot of us like to see as being veterans, is just having respect and treating us well and listening to what we have to say.
I was just going to pull that out of you. What do you mean by when a doctor or a nurse treats you with respect? What do you feel in terms of being respected?
Well, they're asking you questions that you didn't come up with. They're asking you questions that you didn't think about asking before you went in. So they're showing an interest in your health and how you're feeling.
Okay.
And they don't just ask you one. I come in with probably 5, 6 questions about my health.
Yeah.
And what else I should be doing, but they also come up with other questions that further enhance my health.
We've got a Facebook question we'll jump to here from Raymond Burrell. Why doesn't the VA provide dental services? Well, that's a very good technical question. Love to hear about your experience with the VA there, Ray. If you have one, please share it with us, and we'll address that. In terms of dental services, the VA does provide limited dental services to veterans who are 100% service-connected, who have a service-connected dental trauma, or for some veterans who have VOC rehab. The VA also has a VA dental insurance program. If you're enrolled in the VA healthcare system, you can purchase dental insurance through MetLife or Delta Dental. Check out VA Dental Insurance Program. So, Mike, you're not a newbie, you're not a boot, but you've been home from Afghanistan for, about 5 months now. What have your experiences been like at the VA?
I think the transition of care from the Army to the VA has been a little rough. I think a lot of the VA people don't seem to understand that they can actually access your records, even though it's been out there for a few years, that they can actually do that. They just don't seem to do that. So I had a lot of care that was in Afghanistan and then back at Fort Lewis. And then going to my first appointments, I had probably 9 or 10 first appointments when I first got back at the VA with different areas of care. And I had to say to them each time, all my records are there for you if you don't want to have to ask me all these questions. And some of the questions, quite frankly, can be painful. So, you don't always want to answer them.
Right.
So, I'd keep referring them back, and sometimes, have to show them how to do it. So that can be frustrating. I find with the VA, it's similar to any other, I'm not going to compare it to a private healthcare organization, but I found that it's similar to a lot of other government agencies where you have to find the person or the couple of people that make that agency work. And usually if you can find who those people are, usually by talking to other vets, you come to a VSO or a vet center and they'll tell you, go talk to this person, go talk to that person. And that person will tell you how to talk to other people that will get your problem solved. So initially, if you just walk into the VA, I found it can be bewildering sometimes because you don't know who to talk to, you don't know how to get the problem solved. So if my emergency room visit's not paid for, who do I go to? You hit that wall sometimes and it can make you start to lose it a little bit.
I think I agree with you. I think in the information age, you would think that information would be readily available. And sometimes it feels like questions are being asked just as a cover your ass kind of thing, right? CYA. And I wonder if that is a turnoff for most veterans. Sometimes it can be for me if the doctor comes in and starts asking a bunch of questions that have nothing to do with why I'm there, maybe those questions might be better to be asked at the end, or what do you think? Since really the lack of sharing information is what's been the biggest turnoff for you, how do you think the VA could do better?
Well, I think if a lot of the providers actually followed some of the instructions to review prior records, they have gone through, the VA's gone through a lot of work, probably millions of dollars, to integrate DOD and VA transition care. And some people are on it and some people aren't.
Okay.
And so I feel like it almost feels a little disrespectful when you have to say basic things over again, or if you just got blood work done in the Army that has to transfer to the VA, and they're making you do the blood work over again because they just don't want to press that button. That gets aggravating for a new vet. Yeah, for a new vet that's coming back. It's like, I know how to do it, and I'm not on your side of the desk.
Now, Melissa, you've seen several different healthcare systems. Is this something you've experienced as well? Because those healthcare systems have had to communicate, or what is your experience been like?
The transfer of records and data is really challenging. And for me now, I have some care that's done through the VA, some that's done through the VA on referral, and some that's done through my own healthcare. So that is even more complicated. I did have a really great experience recently when I was trying to get some records so that I could give it to my personal physician. And I had called and left a message, and they were like, oh, just use My Healthy Vet. Like, do X, Y, and Z, and bam, your records are there. And literally, I've been using the VA for 10 years now, and I'm sure they told me, but I didn't realize how easy that was, which was a nice relief. I would say for me, in all of the VA experiences that I've had, I've seen and been treated for lots of things, like some things as simple as like a flu shot. I actually have gotten dental exams at a VA, my very first VA.
I've heard the dental care is actually very good if you're eligible for it.
My favorite VA was the VA in Cheyenne, Wyoming. And maybe it's because they had maybe a more appropriate staffing level, because maybe there aren't as many vets in Cheyenne, Wyoming. But it was the most personal experience. Like from top to bottom, they were like, let's send you to the dental clinic. It was also my first VA experience. They were like, let's send you to dental, let's send you, let's have somebody look at your heart, because I have sort of a chronic condition called air hunger, where sometimes I can't catch my breath completely, and I'm not gonna pass out, or it's just some weird thing that happens. So we went through this whole gamut of tests, and they were very proactive and very kind. But equally, I've had experiences like in Philadelphia where I literally couldn't figure out how to make an appointment at the women's clinic. And I had left like messages on mailboxes that were somewhere, who knows where, and ultimately had to find the one or two people that could actually tell me, how do I get seen by this provider? Because as a female veteran, we're seen in a different sort of path of care. So it can be a little more challenging to pinpoint that person.
Well, we have just a couple minutes, and I want to again invite you to join in on the conversation, call in, send us a Facebook message. In fact, we have a message here from Everett Alexander. Do you feel that the quality of care is good throughout all VA medical centers? If not, why do you think that is? I'll jump in. I've only used really the Palo Alto healthcare system. I have used the Martinez Clinic on a few occasions, really the urgent care clinic, and they did a great job. But what I found is consistently throughout Palo Alto healthcare system, my first visits were at the Modesto Clinic, and then I followed my doctor to the Stockton Clinic. I got some care at the Livermore Clinic, and recently, about a year and a half ago, had some surgery, some minor surgery done at Palo Alto. I felt that the health care provided throughout those facilities was excellent, all the way from the nurses, the doctors, the support staff, et cetera. It must be the leadership or the philosophy of that health care facility itself. Go ahead, Lou.
A couple of things. To Everett's question, one is there are 150 VA hospitals throughout the country, all attached to a teaching hospital. So Fort Miley is attached to UCSF, one of the top hospitals in the world. Stanford VA is attached to the Stanford Hospital, another one of the top. Yeah, another one of the top, all throughout the country. But there are factors, like you may go, and I don't want to run down any one place, there are cities that nobody wants to go to. So the VA has more trouble staffing, and private medicine has more trouble staffing. So the best and the brightest coming out of Harvard's medical school don't want to go.
Right.
You know, X, Y,
Good
and Z.
point. I mean, the Modesto Clinic and the Stockton Clinic have about a 30% pay difference.
Yeah.
And those two facilities are about 20 miles from each other. Guess where they have a hard time keeping doctors? At the Modesto Clinic. So there's some geographical challenges in maybe attracting the best doctors or retaining the best doctors. Go ahead.
I would add, because I've experienced the healthcare at different VA clinics and hospitals. The places where it's best are places that are not sort of downtown hospital VAs. So the places where I've struggled either to get the quality of the care that I needed or the appointments that I needed were in Philadelphia or in Denver. And they're in, areas where maybe there's a larger homeless population. And so they're orienting their care to veterans slightly differently than sort of the maintenance of, non-homeless vets, as an example.
And then less acute, maybe.
Exactly, yeah. Less urgent, emergency care type
More preventative,
places.
maybe.
Yeah, because, they have sort of more important, more urgent things.
We have a question here from Sheila Gonzalez, Veterans of Oakley, and asking a similar question. Are the VA medical staff military only? If they are short staff, could they hire outside the military? Are VA medical staff civil service employees? So the VA is a federal agency. In fact, we were talking earlier, it's comprised of different administrations, just like the military is comprised of different branches. So, but the military, being that they are all service members, the VA doesn't necessarily have to be veterans. Many people who work for the VA are veterans. But does it matter, Alex? Do you think that it's important that a doctor or a nurse be a veteran?
No, I don't. I do like sometimes that there are doctors that are vets, because you can kind of share some of those same mutual interests. And sometimes you don't have to dig deep into a story because there's a mutual understanding.
Right.
But you sometimes run into some of those doctors that don't really understand what you're going through, and it kind of makes the discussion hard, especially when you're focusing on mental health, or service related.
Maybe like what Mike was talking about, where you get a lot of questions unnecessarily, maybe.
Yes, exactly. And actually, I did want to just touch on one thing Mike said. I feel, because he made a great point about finding those one or two individuals that you really can connect with at the VA, which is what I do. I have a few either doctors or people that work the staff, those receptionists, desks and stuff like that. And you find those one or two people that you latch onto, that you feel like, hey, this guy or this woman takes care of me when I come in, and it makes things so much easier. Or if you have an issue with somebody else, like a nurse, or you feel like you're not getting taken care of, you know who to go talk to. And I think that's a great point.
Very good point. Mike. We'll be back with more. Lots more to talk about tonight. Don't feel shy. Jump into the conversation. Tonight we're discussing the experiences that veterans have with the VA. Our lines are open. Please contact us via Facebook chat or by calling 925-313-1170. Before we continue, we wanted to share with you a message from my predecessor, Gary Villalba. We'll be right back.
Greetings, I'm Gary Villalba. I was honored and privileged to be the Contra Costa County Veteran Service Officer from 2008, back when I was appointed in 1988. I'm here on the set of Veterans Voices at Contra Costa Television. This program has provided an invaluable service to the veteran community. I've been fortunate to view this program in my retirement home in Santa Barbara, and I'm here to tell you that I think this program is vital to keep going for the veteran community. The Veterans Voices showcases the wonderful services of Contra Costa County Veteran Services, as headed by our current Veteran Service Officer, Nathan Johnson. And the aspects that go into producing such a program of this magnitude is enormous. It takes a lot of resources to produce a program such as Veterans Voices. And I would like to encourage you to contribute to this vital program, to keep it active in our community, so that this show can be shown not only in Contra Costa County, but throughout California. I'm going to pledge $1,000 to this effort. And if you look on your screen, I encourage you to pledge whatever you can to this effort to keep this show alive for all the men and women that served in the Armed Forces of America, our active reserve components, and also the National Guard, and the general public who can benefit from these vital shows. Nathan Johnson is the master of ceremonies for this show, and he has a very exciting program monthly, and we want to keep that going as long as we possibly can to get this information out. So please join me in pledging any kind of financial support that you can to this vital program. Thank you to all of our veterans who've served in the Armed Forces of America, and God bless America. Thank you.
Welcome back. We hope you enjoyed that video of Gary. He's an incredible man. And tonight we're speaking to veterans about their experiences and discussing VA care and benefits. If you'd like to join our conversation or share an experience, please call us right now, 925-313-1170. So we've talked a lot about the VA healthcare system, and obviously that's only one component of the VA. Another fairly important component of the VA is the Veterans Benefits Administration and the disability compensation process. And I know we've all used that benefit at one time or another, so let's talk about it.
I think it's something that can be worked on as far as preparing personnel that are already in actively reserve, whatever the case may be, in the preparation to get ready for the VA services, because though nobody wants to have a service connection, like nobody wants to be messed up, you know. But
what about you? Did you, when you left the Army, did you start that process still on active duty, or did you wait until after your discharge?
My preparation started while I was in, for different circumstances than everyone else's, but it was stuff that I didn't know about. Like, nobody talks about, you know, get ready for the VA when you're transitioning or when you're getting ready to discharge.
See, I had the opposite experience. Like, in our transition programs, all they talked about was getting ready for the VA. And what was frustrating for me is that you couldn't file the paperwork until after you actually separated. And it takes months for it to get done. And great, you'll get back paid, but how do you survive in those other months? And they had done the, when I got out, they had just done the 5 years of healthcare for OIF and OEF vets. So it was a little bit easier for me because I didn't have to worry about the healthcare component. But I had a totally opposite experience where I felt like people didn't talk about anything but make sure you file your VA paperwork and you get your money.
But you're anxious to kind of get it going.
Yeah.
Whereas yours, Alex, you said it was going, but it just wasn't going.
Yeah, I mean, it was more like, along the lines of people were like, just shut up about your problems. You know, you can deal with it later. And later came, and there was really no, you know, instruction manual or whatever the case may be. It was kind of like, you know, what do I do? What do I do with my hands?
Maybe that's an Army thing, because when I was, you know, while I was deployed, they really didn't say anything about, you wouldn't want to talk about a disability or applying for a compensation pension, just simply because it was just kind of a taboo kind of topic. Like, nobody would mention that. But so you kind of left the Army feeling like, I don't even know how to do this if I wanted to. And it took me a little while to kind of poke around the different websites that, you know, they give you a sheet of websites and you start poking around on it. But I really didn't know, and you definitely didn't talk about it while you were deployed, because then it would seem like, I don't know what your motives would be.
Right. I think the biggest thing that a lot of people do, especially for Army vets in this day and age, is they kind of rely on people that are already out and have gone through the process, and then that's where, you know, we come along with those myths and you know, or, you know, stereotypes about the VA, you know, bad, you know, information. But you just poke around for those fellow vets and say, how do I start? What do I do? What's the beginning process?
I agree with you. I got out in 2003, and for many, many, many years, what had built up was this ego, this sense of pride and strength that I could never get past. And although I just held this kind of steady course of, I don't need any kind of disability compensation, I don't need service connection, veterans kept over and over and over and over and over again reinforcing the idea of how important it was to have these injuries recognized. And for me particularly, it was the fact that my ears were ringing, and they weren't ringing so loud that I couldn't hear anyone or function, thank God. But in a quiet room, I never really understood what the the sentence of silence is deafening, that whole phrase. I thought that meant that when the room's quiet, it gets really loud, because it really does. But it took 13 years, I think, 12 years, I think actually last year, to finally say, how much longer am I going to put up with this? And it took me overcoming that little bit of ego and pride and strength, although veterans had been nothing but encouraging and reinforcing the fact that this was a very important program to apply for. We've got an email, but I need it a little bit bigger in order to read it, so we'll get our staff working on that. What about when you finally applied and went through the process?
Well,
or jump in. You had something, Mike.
I had something to say. Yeah, no, I think, listening to the experiences of Vietnam-era vets, I think has been really important, because this whole process has honestly changed so much because of their advocacy. And so I've really benefited a lot from listening to some of the older vets.
Right.
Not to say you're all old, but
Vietnam veterans have been
Vietnam veterans
huge.
really were big with advocacy around this, and we have everything we have right now is honestly because of them. And so I feel really grateful to come back and have people that have been around for a while that were able to say, hey, you need to tell them this, you need to say this, and go to this person and talk to that person. It's because they figured it out for us already, and that changed the whole thing for us.
Can I just say one thing about that? Because I have had the same experience from a compensation perspective. I put my paperwork in, and actually, because of the stuff that we did trying to discover the air hunger, I had started to notice that I had a lot of anxiety. And the Cheyenne VA actually came to me and said, we've noticed, sort of, looking at my records, the doctors that you've gone to, we think you should submit a claim for your anxiety, because it seems like it's service connected.
Okay.
And so, 9 months later, I had a service connection related to anxiety.
So that's how the two overlap in terms of the veterans' health care. You were seeking care, and they were encouraging you. I want to address an email here that we have from someone. It's an anonymous email. Thank you so much for contributing this. It's a little hard for me to read. Maybe I should not only have my tinnitus checked, but maybe I should have my eyes checked. I'm an Iraq veteran who has been receiving VA care since 2007. Thank you. Coming home from Iraq wasn't easy. I've dealt with anger, depression, and general confusion about how to transition home in a healthy way. At times, when calling the VA hospital to address my health, the customer service representatives have hung up on me and lacked a sense of empathy for my experiences. I think that sometimes veterans aren't always able to care for themselves, especially after coming home from war. My hope is that VA culture can develop a deeper sense of care and empathy for veterans, because they aren't your average patients. I agree. I don't think veterans calling in or coming into the VA are just your average patient. And I think it is important that our providers recognize that we can't just hang up on our veterans, that we have to listen to them.
I find it hard to imagine that a customer service representative at the VA hung up on somebody that was being halfway decent to them. I just don't. I mean, it can happen. There are really bad employees, but in general, I would question that.
Well, this is one veteran's experience, but how do you think the communication has been? Let's talk about in the disability compensation process. We've talked a little bit about the healthcare. So you file a claim. How well has the VA communicated with you about that claim? Lou, you jumped in, so let's hear from you.
Well, you mean the VBA or the VA?
Yeah, the VBA during the compensation claim.
Oh, I had excellent service, and I think the main reason was that it just so happened that the representative, the CalVet rep that I went to, was another Vietnam combat veteran, right? And I think the second time I saw him, the first time he just gave me a brochure. The second, he said, take it home and read it. The second time, we both ended up crying. We're just sitting there bawling. So I had somebody who completely understood, we had been through the same stuff in Vietnam, and it made a huge difference. And I think that's the biggest key. And I think still you can request your own, if you're not happy with the representative you had, you can request a change. Isn't that right?
Sure.
Yeah, you can even ask them, who's your best guy? Who's your best person here at assisting vets?
I've
That's
done
the
that
person I
myself,
wanna see.
actually.
Yeah.
I did change my doctor.
Yeah, it's very easy to go in and be and run out the door.
To your original question, though, like how's the communication been? I think when I went through the process, it was terrible. Like literally, I filed my paperwork for the anxiety-related service connection, and one day I woke up and all the back pay was in my account, and I was like, and at the time I was in grad school, like I didn't have a full-time job, like that, it was a significant amount of money, and I was like, I don't even want to spend it because I'm not sure it's mine. And it took me like days to track down where that money came from. And then like 3 weeks later, they mailed me a note saying, oh, by the way, we gave you your service connection. I was like, yeah, I got that, thanks.
Oh, well, by the way, you didn't just commit wire fraud.
Right, exactly. I didn't somehow smuggle a bunch of money.
Because we know Uncle Sam does not forget, right? Yeah. Yeah.
I think they've invested a lot of money in the online systems, and they think they have one. They have e-benefits, and now they're rolling out vets.gov. And my experience is that those systems are really only helpful in filing the claim, but that if you actually want to know what's going on with your claim, you need to talk to a VSO, just simply because there really isn't great information yet on those websites. So I felt like, they were telling me it would be another year before my decision would come, and then all of a sudden, the next week it was done. So it's just, I think those online sites are good, but really they're only good for the initial part for me, at least.
I completely agree, and certainly as the County Veteran Service Officer, I can't recommend high enough that someone who's pursuing the disability compensation process needs to get the advocacy, and that's what Lou was mentioning. When I worked with CalVet, it went well, and I like the idea of web-based and app-based type platforms. I just wish the VA would do it a little bit better before they actually implement it. So we have a quick mention, a quick moment here to read a comment from Jay on Facebook. He says, or she says, I'm not an advocate of weed, but seriously, half of the U.S. has it available for medical use. Why isn't it available for veterans with severe PTSD? 22 a day, take their own lives. This is not acceptable. Well, thanks for the comment, Jay. Obviously, that's a good point. So. But we now have to wrap it up. This has been a good discussion. We've talked about the health care, the compensation, lots more to talk about in general, though. I do appreciate everyone participating in this important conversation. Next up is a short video by Team Rubicon, a veteran service organization that unites the skills and experiences of military veterans with first responders to rapidly deploy emergency response teams. Enjoy this video.
We all have a purpose. Sometimes it comes to us without calling. And sometimes we come upon it after a dark, dusty journey, not sure of what we'll find or who we'll be when we come out the other side. And we find we're navigating a road of cause and effect, learning it all connects back to what we've done, what we are doing, and who we are becoming. To find our purpose in the turn of a key, the click of a button, or the swing of a hammer. In a handshake, a hug, a high five. From sore muscles, blistered feet, dust in our nostrils, mud in our ears, or from supporting these soiled souls from afar, making their 4 hours of sleep look a bit more solid and that stiff back a little more ready to tackle the new day. For when that purpose comes knocking, we stand on the line and stare it down, pulling that hard routine into a full-on bear hug embrace. And when it tests us, we wince instead of whine, we grunt instead of groan, we ask for more instead of crying uncle. We all have a purpose. But in the end, how you define your purpose, well, that's up to you.
Welcome back. Tonight we have had a fantastic and interesting discussion with veterans about their experiences with the VA, and we appreciate your input as well. Here are a few resources for veterans and their families. They are also listed on our homepage. The VA Patient Advocacy Program is for all veterans and their families who receive care at VA Healthcare Administration facilities and clinics. You can go to this person with your concerns to help you receive care in a timely manner. If you need help getting care or getting your problems resolved, talk to the patient advocate at your VA medical center. They can help. The Women Veterans Coordinator Program at the VA is designed to offer comprehensive assistance to women veterans, their dependents, and beneficiaries concerning VA benefits and non-VA benefits as well. They may assist you in the claims intake process, development, and processing of military, sexual, and personal trauma claims. There are women veteran coordinators located in every regional office. Did you know that you can potentially upgrade the type of your military discharge? Swords to Plowshares, a local veteran service organization who specializes in legal assistance to veterans, can help. Call 415-252-4788 to learn more. Battle Tested Veterans is a fantastic organization focused on telling stories to create compassion, understanding, and cooperation amongst individuals and change the misperceptions some may have toward members of the military. To learn more and get involved, and please do so, visit their website at battletestedveterans.org. Here are a few upcoming veterans events in the community. On November 10th through the 12th, the Veterans Memorial Building, in partnership with the town of Danville, will be hosting a Veterans Day open house with an exhibit commemorating the 75th anniversary of the Doolittle Raiders. They are also paying tribute to the war in the Philippines and the Bataan Death March. The exhibit will include military memorabilia, archival films, military vehicles, art and displays. Please visit vmbsrv.org to learn more. Congressman John Garamendi will be hosting a Veterans Advisory Forum in collaboration with representatives from the Department of Veterans Affairs on Thursday, October 19th, 2017, from 3 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. at the Solano County Event Center in Fairfield. The Congressman is looking forward to hearing from veterans and veteran service providers on issues facing veterans and their families. There is no RSVP required. If you have any additional questions, please call the Congressman's office at 530-753-5301. On November 7th, beginning at 11 a.m., there will be a Veterans Day recognition ceremony at the Board of Supervisors Chambers located at 651 Pine Street, room 107 in Martinez. The Art Cottage in Concord, California, will feature an exhibit honoring Vietnam veterans beginning on November 1st. 3 veterans, including our very own Stephen Burchick, will show their artwork ranging from photographs, sketches, and 3-dimensional sculptures. For more information, please call 925-956-3342. On November 11th, beginning at 11 a.m., there will be a Veterans Day ceremony and softball tournament at Willow Pass Park, Field 5 in Concord. Come play some softball with us. Tonight, we have the honor of displaying the shadow box of Robert Markle. Robert served in the Army Air Corps and the U.S. Air Force from 1941 to 1962. He was a flight engineer on C-47s and flew in Burma, India, and China during World War II. While serving, he received 2 Distinguished Flying Crosses and was awarded the prestigious Berlin Aircraft Device for flying 2 months nonstop during the Berlin Aircraft Campaign. Robert passed away in 1989. Do you have a shadow box? If so, please reach out to us. We would love to honor your military service by displaying it on our set. We all have a story to tell. Would you like to share yours? If so, we would love to hear from you and possibly have you as a guest for our A Veterans Voice segment. For as a guest on our show, and please reach out to us and tell us more about yourself. Join us next month as we speak with veterans who have tapped their creative side, and in December as we bring Veterans Voices Live to the California Theater in Pittsburgh. To rewatch tonight's episode, check back on our homepage later this week or check your cable provider's schedule for rebroadcast times. This is Veterans Voices of Contra Costa County signing off, wishing you all a relaxing evening. And for the veterans out there watching tonight, hua, ura, huye, and aim high.